You know, we just watched a Tokyo video about how niggas in Tokyo feel about anime. Now we're watching some Albon. Albon. Japan top Turner was
This
arrested.
guy drove 194 miles per hour on a public highway in the UK in a car with no registration, landing him in jail and in serious hot water. Yet despite that, he became one of the most recognizable names in the entire
Tokyo
JV
Drift,
car
nigga.
scene.
Hello, I just wanna tell you what it's I go Timio. I go Timio.
Smoky Nagata is the guy who put a Nissan RB26 into a Supra. He put a modern GTR drive
I don't know shit about cars, so bear with me.
train into an R32. Hell, he built a Mark IV Supra with a
Cause this nigga seem
V12
like he know what the fuck is going on. I have no idea what the fuck
and
he's
went
talking
viral
about.
before the internet even
But I'm getting more interested in cars now.
knew what viral was. And his journey started as a farm boy on an
Sir, you can make it out the mud, nigga. That's why I'm doing this YouTube shit. Trying to make it out the mud.
island
Recording off a fucking level fucking laptop, nigga. Come on, trying to get out the mud, twin. Trying to get out the mud.
in Japan. So let's dig into the history of Smoky Nagata and see what it took to build
That was him. I swear to God, that was
island
Jackie
in
Chan.
Japan. So let's dig into the history
Is that race? No, I can see. No, I can see the differential. But at first, like that first small clip when I seen
of
it,
Smoky Nagata and see what
that
it
shit
took
look like
to
Jackie
build
Chan.
one of the
Is
most
that
legendary
racist? Fuck, that could've
tuning
been
houses
racist.
in all of Japan.
bad, that's
Top
bad.
secret. I'm Guff. This is Albon.
What's up, Guff?
Let's get started.
Albon. That was right.
The Hokkaido countryside in the 1970s was beautiful. A calm, serene island, fields of wheat and soybeans under the shade of the
Making that-
Ishikari Mountain. Everything you needed to live a pleasant life
As
as
a
a
farmer.
farmer. But you know what they didn't have?
Cars.
Racing. And for
So
the
yeah, so this nigga's the original Tokyo Drifter.
young Kazuhiko Nagata, that was a problem. You see, Kazuhiko grew up in a farming family like anyone else in Hokkaido. But from an early age, he realized he liked driving the farm truck more than he liked farming. His dad was a car guy too, and Kazuhiko used to help him wrench on cars, trucks, farming equipment, really anything he could get his hands on. But that wasn't enough for this 14-year-old speed demon, and so
14.
he bought a motorcycle to tune up and race around the farmland. Then later, a go-kart. And then when he turned 15, his very first car. He scraped together whatever money he could and bought a beat-up old 1970 Mitsubishi Galant GTO. It was a fun little project car for him to fix up and drive around the village,
But
but
being a mechanic gotta be such a fucking fire like technique to have, cause like being able to fix a car is like such a big thing. You'll always need to be able to fix a car until you know robots take that shit too.
there was one problem. It was really broken. And little Kazuhiko just couldn't figure out how to get this thing running. Lucky for him, an employee of Toyota lived nearby and he knew a thing or two about cars. So Kazuhiko and his friendly neighbor worked together to fix up this old Galant.
W neighbor.
And after not too long, they got that thing purring. Kazuhiko was pumped. He had his very own running and driving car as a teenager. And so what else to do but to drive it to school? Turns out though, driving as a 16-year-old was kind of illegal. And when the school found out that a student was driving up and parking in the same parking lot as the teachers, they expelled him. Not exactly the outcome that
Expelled him. That's drastic.
Kazuhiko expected. But when his neighbor found out what happened, he offered him a saving grace, a job at Toyota as a mechanic. Of course, he said yes.
At 16?
And at 16, he was the youngest employee they ever had. But
I mean, bro, that's kind of like it's gonna sound bad, but for him to be employed at 16 doing the mechanic shit with no fucking prior, that's some real like stereotypical shit.
all that meant to Kazuhiko was that he needed to work harder than anyone around him. And so he busted his butt at that job and learned the ins and outs of all things car. Working on other people's
I
cars
think he
though,
didn't become a registered mechanic, he just became a mechanic.
was fun and all, but Kazuhiko was still a tuner at heart. And so he bought an old Toyota Celica and started modifying it during his downtime at work. But as we know, downtime very quickly turns into all the time. All he cared about was building cars and going fast. And when he wasn't working on the Celica, he was racing it up the local toge, testing and modifying the motor and suspension to go faster and faster. He was so obsessed that at a certain point he was working on that Celica more than he was doing actual work. And when his superiors found out, they fired him.
Damn.
For years, he toiled as a Toyota mechanic, but his obsession with cars landed him in the same place that it landed him when he was 16 years old, kicked to the curb. But Kazuhiko was not one to dwell on failure. He had learned so much in the last few years, and he was determined to use that knowledge to take him even further. So he packed his things and decided to move to the one place in Japan where he knew
Tokyo.
His racing-obsessed mind would be appreciated. Tokyo.
He should have. That's what I would have put. Fuck a copyright, nigga. I got Timio. I got Timio.
A place that also appreciates our sponsor, Opera. Awful. On my bug, my work tool, my ad block, built-in browser. Yep. I already. That website. Whatever. Hey.
Bro, what type of sponsor is this?
As compared to his homeland in Hokkaido. He needed a lot more money if he was gonna stay long term. So naturally, he sought out a job at a tuning shop. The job he got was at a shop called Trust. Now, Trust was an OG, founded in 1977, and they have a sub-brand that became a household name in the JDM car scene.
Kia?
You just might not realize it yet. Anyway,
Toyota?
At first, Kazuhiko started as a low-level grunt, packaging exhausts and turbos for customers. And as you can imagine, he was bored. Sure, the bills got paid, but this was the guy driving the family truck and modding cars since he was a child. So how could boxing up car parts for 8 hours a day ever be enough? And so he had an idea. After his shifts, he would ask the racing department if they needed any help with anything. Not for pay though, just for the experience. Just to scratch that racing itch. The Trust engineers were more than happy to have a couple extra hands on deck, so they let him wrench on the race cars with them. But as the months went on and experience was earned, Kazuhiko did what any of us would do. He started working on his own projects using the company resources that he learned how to use. He would fabricate new parts, install new aero, really anything to make his car better. And he did it all after hours when nobody else was watching. As time went on, he eventually became a respected mechanic at Trust. His work was honorable and his skills were mature beyond his years. And perhaps most importantly, his labor showed results. But as he began to spend more and more hours after closing working on his own cars,
started losing money.
The bosses at Trust slowly began to realize what was going on. Using company resources to work on your own projects without permission wasn't something they could take lightly. But here's the thing. Kazuhiko was a fantastic worker and too valuable of an asset to the company. So they couldn't just fire him that easily, not without some suffering in the books. And so the bosses at Trust came up with a compromise. They said he could work after hours as he wishes, but he was never to tell anyone else what he was up to. Trust was a big company and they had a reputation to uphold. Essentially, Kazuhiko and his bosses agreed to keep this a secret.
So they were just like, yo, Twin, take our shit, but we fuck with you and damn, bro, W Trust.
A top secret. This little arrangement only lasted about a year though, because in 1991, Kazuhiko left Trust to pursue his dream, opening up his own tuning shop. The shop's name?
Damn, imagine you told the nigga, hey man, we won't fire you, but just don't tell a single soul. And then a year later, hey bro, I quit. Nigga, bro, what happened with the rest shit? Nah, nigga, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I kind of want to do shit myself.
Top secret. And he couldn't have left at a better time. It was the perfect storm for the JDM era of tuning. Legendary cars were being released left and right. The AE86 was still fresh. The Supra was getting a 4th generation makeover. The RX-7
bro, it's crazy
was getting another turbo, and Godzilla continued to terrorize the performance car world. Damn. Tuning shops everywhere were scrambling to leave their mark on the enthusiasts market. And for Kazuhiko, it was no different.
Damn.
Top secret needed to be something special, and his
that shit's so fired up, bro.
philosophy
I don't know how to do that shit yet, but I can't wait until I get
was
the money
that
to buy
top
this
secret
shit.
needed to prove to
This
the
shit will
world
make me
that
so
Japanese-built cars
like actually my dick hard
could be the fastest on the planet.
Facts.
And after all, he wasn't wrenching every night in those Trust garages just
for no reason.
For scene points. He was demonstrating his understanding that along with great power comes great suspension, great brakes, and great aerodynamics. This new venture couldn't be some run-of-the-mill mechanics shop. Kazuhiko had the singular goal
Nigga.
of making Top Secret the epitome of JDM tuning.
Oh, he was
houses.
racing in
But,
that shit.
of course, he needed to build a reputation first. He
First-
didn't exactly have enough money to build a car for himself, and so the first official Top Secret car was a customer car. It was a Toyota Soarer with a 7M
Damn.
GTE engine, built with all the usual big power accoutrement you could expect. Built
Yeah.
engine, big turbo, intercooler, exhaust, he threw the whole
Yeah.
catalog at this thing. And it was pretty quick with a 12-second quarter-mile time, which, before you complain, was pretty fast for 1991.
Damn. That's before I was even alive.
Especially considering the 7M made about 240 horsepower stock on a good day. And that build was a success, which led him to being able to build a car of his own for the shop. His first canvas, a Nissan Skyline R32 GTR. And boy, he built that thing to huge numbers, all in the name of speed. And he would compete against other tuners in the Aqualine tunnels under Tokyo Bay, doing
Nigga, that shit would have been a movie, bro. That shit would have been a movie,
runs
bro.
well into the 200-kilometer-an-hour range, dodging traffic late at night. And
And he was a Swiftie,
he
nigga.
was fast. Kazuhiko's early work at Top Secret was hugely respected by the other tuners around him. And because of that, the business started growing through the mid-90s. And Kazuhiko Nagata was finally making a name for himself. But he needed the shop to be bigger, more
make more money.
infamous, a staple of the tuning industry. He wanted to prove to the world that a car built at Top Secret meant something. And so, when the opportunity arose, he hatched a plan to perform possibly the best JDM marketing stunt since Keiichi Tsuchiya's Plus B. A marketing stunt that would land him in jail and banned from a country for an entire decade. First
Oh, he
things
started
first,
speeding.
though, he needed a car. This time, his canvas was the Mark IV Toyota Supra. It makes sense. I mean, if Top Secret wanted a car that made big power and went fast, the 2JZ was a no-brainer, right? Well,
Not
not
really.
exactly. You see, this absolute madman pulled out the 2JZ
Damn.
and put in a Nissan RB26. Yes,
Damn.
the engine from the Skyline GTR. His thought
Is that not illegal now? I'm pretty sure you can't do that now. Or at least you can't, like,
process
there's like a bunch of, like, restrictions on that shit now.
was the 2JZ has the displacement, and it was best for low-end torque, but he needed
dude.
high-end power for top-speed runs.
Like,
And so, Nissan's high-revving RB
everything included engine, suspension, tires were built for top speeds, runs 750
was the
horsepower.
perfect
It's a lot.
fit. To make it happen, he fitted HKS forged piston.
Peak. Nope, not reading all this shit. I don't even know about cars for real. Shit, nigga. I just know it drives, bro.
Trussed rods, and then he threw twin GT
I really want to get into
30,
cars,
37.
though. I just, like, it's just...
turbos at it, with the
So-
boost turned up to
Damn.
2.3 bar. That's
The fuck is that?
33 psi. And all
Bro.
this resulted in this Frankenstein Supra making 1,000
0 to 100, 412 seconds, 21 seconds, 12.27 seconds.
horsepower at 8,500 RPM and 650 pound-feet. And a
Yeah.
media outlet in the UK called Max Power caught wind of all of Kazuhiko Nagata's crazy antics and decided to get in touch. Now, they're no longer in business, but Max Power magazine used to report on the British car scene. And to give you an idea of their journalism, they had a scale
BMW?
on which they would score British car meets. The scaling system was based on how many cops there were, how hot the girls were, and the number
The hose. The hose. You always gotta scale up the hose.
of burnouts performed.
Yeah.
Not too surprising that they're out of business now.
No, the hose.
Regardless,
I mean, hoes don't go to car meets for real no more.
Kazuhiko Nagata knew that Max Power magazine was one of the top-selling tuner magazines in the UK. And so in November of 1998, when Max Power invited Nagata and his top-secret Supra to the Max Power live show, he knew he had to go.
show out.
And to make sure he was getting enough press back home,
Damn.
too, he invited a Japanese media outlet to accompany him, Option Magazine. And when he got to the UK, Nagata and his RB Supra spent the entire day doing burnouts wherever they could in front of cameras for the press. Burnouts were his thing, you see,
Even in London, he's still the same.
and it earned him a nickname,
Smokey Nagata.
Smokey Nagata. And later that day, after the live show was done, the boys at Max Power challenged Smokey Nagata to take his Supra to 200 miles per hour in a
He
top
did.
speed run. Now, keep in mind, this was a Japanese registered car, a car that Smokey wasn't even supposed to be driving on public roads in the UK. But he
He
wasn't
still
one to
drove
back
that
down
shit.
from a challenge.
He still did
so
that
at
shit.
4 a.m. on a cold and rainy night,
Rainy?
Smokey drove
It's
up the
crazy.
on-ramp to the A1 highway in the British Midlands. He
He got that
stopped
shit
in the
on
middle
camera?
of the highway and did one massive Smokey burnout before taking off on his high-speed attempt. He ended up taking a few cracks at this 200-mile-per-hour challenge.
Damn.
On the first try, he noticed the engine was running a bit lean, so he ended up backing off. On the next run, he noticed the hood wobbling at 190 miles per hour. So he stopped and made sure that everything was secured
the
properly.
last
And then there was the next run. With few cars on the road in the middle of the night,
Damn.
Smokey Nagata rocketed that 1,000 horsepower Godzilla-powered Supra down the
Damn.
A1 looking for 200 miles per hour once more. That RB26 ripped past 8,000 RPM in final gear, and Nagata
Damn.
reached an exhilarating 194 miles per
Damn,
hour.
he even
And
hit
then
200.
sirens, police lights. It was the cops, the Midlands Roses, and they were coming for Smokey. Of
Yeah.
course, he didn't want trouble, so Smokey Nagata pulled over and waited for them to catch up. And when they got there, they arrested him on the spot. Now, although it wasn't 200 miles per hour, 194
was a
miles per
lot.
hour meant that Smokey had broken the record for the fastest car ever on public roads in the UK.
Damn.
But at what cost? He was thrown in jail and then questioned by the police, but he didn't speak a lick of English. So
He
he
isn't a snitch? Bro, I don't know. They said them Japan niggas just been hitting different.
sat in jail for a night and then was told he needed to get a lawyer and a translator for his date in the Queen's Court. In the end, Speed Demon Smokey pled guilty to driving just 120 miles per hour. The punishment, a suspension of his international license for a year, a whopping fine of 155 pounds and a 35
It's not that bad.
pound court fee, and a ban from entering the UK for 10 years.
Damn.
All things considered, a slap on the wrist, especially considering he was driving 200 miles per hour on the public road.
Smokey wants to be the fastest guy on the new Aqualine.
By now, though, every media outlet in the UK caught wind of this ridiculous top speed run, and they were running it in every newspaper and TV segment in the country.
And he
Within
got
a
a
few
smoke?
hours, Nagata's crime went worldwide and even made it back home in Japan. Smokey Nagata's top secret was no longer a
Top
secret.
secret, nigga.
Now it was the worldwide
Fastest nigga in
poster
Japan,
child
baby.
for going
And he's-
fast.
he made
Once
it
Smokey made
bad.
it safely back to Japan, his lust for speed only grew greater.
Imagine.
Top Secret's goal now was to build even crazier, even faster cars than those that
Yeah, this is some real Tokyo drift shit.
came before it. The now infamous RB Supra actually caught the attention of an Emirati prince, and he made an offer on that car that Smokey couldn't refuse.
Like, a mil?
That car actually still lives on today.
Dubai 37. One of one. That's an I. Don't know why the fuck you put the I there. Tokyo Toyota Supra. Top. Is this it? Top secret. Previously owned by Smokey Nagata with RB26 engine with tons of modifications. So widely, okay?
Today, converted to left-hand drive. Anyways, for Smokey, having this car out of the way meant that Top Secret could move on and he could build something new. Something that needed to transcend the ordinary vision of the tuners around it. Now,
Damn.
Smokey loved that Mark IV Supra, but he was angry when he found out that Toyota had no plans to make a fifth generation. So he
Yeah.
took it upon himself to envision a new Supra his own way. So he bought another Mark IV, and just like with his RB Supra, he pulled out the 2JZ. But instead of another inline six, or
Yeah.
perhaps a V8, the engine chosen to be the heart of this car was the 5-liter 1
What the fuck is this skeleton body ass
GZ
shit?
FE V12
Bro, I'm like so out of sync with cars, bro. This shit is far as fuck.
from the Toyota
Imagine you pop your trunk, you see a fucking skeleton in the motherfucker.
Century. Now, as cool as that engine was, the 1GZ was not a performance engine, not at all. It was quiet and smooth and made about 280 horsepower. But, of course, this one was getting the top secret treatment. And so, in went twin HKS GT2540 Turbo, a wet shot nitrous system, and 2 HKS ECUs. Yes,
Two?
this car needed 2 ECUs because engine management systems at the time just weren't capable of handling that many inputs and outputs. And so the car was tuned like it was 2 separate 1JZs operating in unison. Add to that fully custom pistons and rods made in-house because no other shop was crazy enough to do it. And the result was 930 horsepower and 745 pound-feet of torque, with one of the craziest exhaust notes you'll ever hear out of a
That shit looks sexy as fuck.
Toyota. Smokey built this car specifically for another top speed run, but he learned his lesson this time. No more jail sentences for him. This top speed run was to be fully sanctioned and fully legal. So, Smokey packed his stuff and his V12 Supra
To America.
and got on a plane to Nardo, Italy. Home
Nope.
to the famous Nardo Ring test track.
Nigga, bro, I used to think race cars were sexy as fuck.
Now, the Nardo Ring is a wild place if you've never heard of it. It's a 4-lane wide, 7.8 mile long oval test track, and the turns are banked at such a steep angle that you can go 149 miles per hour in the outside lane without needing to touch your steering wheel. It was the perfect place for the V12 Supra
149 is
to
far,
test
bro.
its limit. And so Smokey left those 930 horses loose and ripped past 200 miles per hour on the steep embankment. Now, his goal was 249 miles per hour, but he only ever managed to reach 222 miles per hour before calling it quits. Not quite what he wanted, but still mind-bogglingly fast for the time.
Insane.
But I'm not here to talk about Top Secret's shortcomings. I'm here to tell you about how obsessive Smokey Nagata was about these top speed runs. Prior to this, in 1999, he was spotted in New Zealand doing a top speed run in a 3S GTE.
Nigga, a brand new car?
E-powered Supra. And there he was lined up next to some of the greatest tuning names to ever come out of Japan. Jun, Scoot Sports, Veilside. In that run, he only managed to hit 180 miles per hour before backing off due to a technical issue, but he made sure that people knew the name.
Top Secret.
Top Secret. And then there was 2005, when Top Secret took
I was born! I'm alive! Hey!
Nissan Skyline V35, aka an Infiniti G35, to the Autobahn in Germany. Smokey, in typical Smokey fashion, pulled the VQ engine out and put in a 4.5 liter V8 out of a Nissan Sima, which of course was souped up to make 700 horsepower. And it hit a top speed of 211 miles per hour on the Autobahn. And these are just a few examples. Year after year, new and insane JDM rockets rolled their way out of the garage at Top Secret. But it wasn't just about hitting VMAX. Top Secret was no stranger to the drifting scene as well. Ryuji Miki won the 2004 D1 Grand Prix in a Top Secret built Nissan S15. And in 2005, Miki ran the season in a Top Secret Nissan Z33. And even beyond racing, Smokey and Top Secret found ways to shock the world with their street car build.
You think Top Secret
Like
still
the
do cars
Nissan VR32 they built in 2016. From the outside,
16, that was like, I was about to say 4 years ago, like it was 2020. It's 2022 now, nigga. That was 6 years ago. Fuck. That was a long time
you'd assume
ago.
it was just another R32 GTR. Nice wheels, cool wide body, but take a closer look and you'd find some
That shit was
properly nutty details.
Nutty is crazy.
Inside, a complete R35 GTR interior with fully functioning buttons and switches. And under the hood, the
Why is that shit on the left side?
R35
Oh my god, it just gave me a headache. What the fuck is that?
GTR's VR38 V6 engine, making 789 horsepower and 723 pound-feet of torque, all while weighing only 100 pounds more than a bone stock R32. And it's builds like these that have cemented Top Secret's reputation over the years. Some of the craziest, most ambitious cars to ever come out of Japan. Today, the Top Secret brand is recognized around the world as a premier JDM tuning house. A name with just as much weight as Trust or Gretty. A testament to Kazuhiko's Smokey.
I thought Trust for the bottom or some shit, man. W video, bro. Shout out to Alvin, man. If you guys like, comment, subscribe, nigga. I'ma catch y'all in the next one. Give me a kiss.